What's up, YouTube? Today we're going back to good old friend Serum. Can you believe it? I know you're probably thinking,
What's going on, Dash? You've changed. An Ableton tutorial, a Serum video. What's going on?
Fear not. I haven't lost my mind completely. I just know that a lot of you folks are using other stuff. And so, like confining myself to only faceplant videos or only vital videos might not be useful for all of you. So I want to do something that I've actually been wanting to do forever, since I used to do the Serum videos back in the day, because it still seems like something that's a little bit, let's just say, mystified. So I want to talk about Serum's chaos oscillators. So I've heard some wild things being thrown around that about Serum not having random modulators and stuff. And I just want to kind of show you how to use them and what they do, because those who do know that they exist are sometimes a little bit confused about how they actually work. I want to show you a really cool trick as well. In Serum here, what we can actually do is we can create a DC signal. And so what that is that's just a straight up voltage offset. It just sends full voltage out the output. So if you're doing this, you want to make sure that you turn your volume down, because sometimes speakers don't have these kind of protection for DC and you might blow something. So let's just turn that down for now. And this is useful because this allows us to monitor stuff. Or for example, we can use this as a modulation source for other stuff inside Bitwig. So we can get a little bit more experimental perhaps later on in the video, but just for now, I want to show you exactly what I'm talking about. So here you can see it's just a straight up DC signal that's being sent there. Make it precise. You can see there's no up and down motion. It's just a straight up kind of voltage being sent out of the oscillator into the scope, right? So like I said, this can be very useful if you're wanting to use Serum's LFOs or Serum's chaos oscillator to modulate other stuff inside your project. But this is just going to be useful for us to be able to kind of visualize exactly what's happening with the chaos modulators in Serum. So here, if we say enable the mod source onto the volume of the DC oscillator which we've created, and we can turn it down. Let's just jump into the matrix to make sure that it's unipolar, and we can turn it up all the way. And so now if we trigger a note, you'll see the modulation from Serum gets visualized for us in this oscilloscope. So this is very handy because this allows us, this allows me to now show you guys exactly what's happening with this chaos modulator as we change these settings. So by default, the settings are kind of similar to something like vital sine interpolate random mode. But if we set this SNH over here, this basically stands for sample and hold, and we set mono, it's going to give us something that's closer to vital sample and hold mode. So then let's trigger a note, and you'll see now it's giving us this kind of stepped modulation like this. So if we BPM sync this, we can choose the exact stepping that we want these steps. So we could have this kind of modulation being applied like this. So if we wanted more of a curved shape, we could just turn off sample and hold. You see how it gives us these curved modulators like this. So the main things to take away here are the sample and hold, which basically squares off the shape, right? It creates more of a sample and hold style motion. The BPM sync, which allows us to turn this to 1/16, right? And then the mono. So the mono can be a little bit confusing for some folks. So what I want to do is I want to create a patch quickly, which is going to outline this a little bit better for us. Essentially what the mono is doing is if this is on and you have several voices in a patch, then what will happen is that all of the voices will share one chaos modulator. If the mono is off, each voice will have a new chaos modulator instantiated when the note is triggered. So what that means is if we have one note and then it's got a wobbly motion, we play another note that's higher, it's going to have a different movement and they're going to kind of wave in and out of each other. Like I said, this is a little bit harder to kind of outline, but let me create a quick patch which is hopefully going to do that for us. So what I want to do is I want to add a filter. And we can put a chaos modulator onto this filter. And we can make it quite slow. I'm going to put a couple of effects on here just so that it's not so dry. Let's put in an EQ, put in a hyperdimension, delay, reverb. So that's one note. So now notice when I trigger a different note, you will hear they each have their own modulation movement. So this is really nice. With this mono mode off, is really nice for creating these really kind of diverse ambient pads. Another bonus is if we set this level down and we modulate the level with the chaos as well in that let's call it poly mode, in mono mode off, what it's going to do is it's kind of act like a trigger for an oscillator. And if we say, for example, hold like several different octaves of a ton of different notes, it's going to basically just kind of randomly trigger notes, kind of like a Krell patch, right? So what I want to do here is I just want to hold like a couple of chords. How sick is that? How sick is that? So again, like you could just use this, trigger some chords, chaos mode, mono off, and you can create these really diverse kind of ambient pads and textures, kind of like a Krell patch, because you're choosing a scale to work within, or at least a variation of a Krell patch was just quantized. You're kind of picking a scale to work within, and then it's just randomly kind of waving in and out of those notes, you know, without a timing structure or something like that. Really cool for creating these ambient textures. So let's go back to the original point that I was talking about using this as a modulation source for outside instruments. So let's create that DC again by just going like this. We can set the chaos to modulate the level and turn off the filter. Oh, of course, we're going to have to turn off all of the effects because that EQ will remove any of the DC that's happening. That's what was going on. Okay, so we've got this modulation source. Let's turn this volume up nice and loud so we've got it at full signal. So here, let's put in a long MIDI note like this, right? And so now it's going to generate us that modulation. So here, let's just, for argument's sake, open up a Vital. I don't know why we would do this. This is just for demonstration purposes. But I mean, like, say, for example, you have something in Ableton or in Bitwig that you want to modulate with Serum's things. You can do that this way. Here, let's say, add the audio rate. And so here, what we want to do is we want to set this input to the Serum pre. And now you can see here that this modulation is being represented over here. So we can actually just use this to modulate anything in that Vital patch. So firstly, let's just set it to modulate this macro, like this. And then we can just go and assign this macro to anything in the patch. So here, let's say do like a band pass type of thing and just assign this there. Okay, so now we can jump back into Serum. We can modulate these parameters here in the chaos. Like, let's put on BPM sync, sample, and hold mono. Set it to 1/16. And jump back to Vital. Cool. I think that's about it for today. I hope you guys enjoyed that. Let me know what you think in the comments. If you haven't yet, please consider hitting that like button and subscribing to my channel. Also, don't forget that I recently just released a Bitwig masterclass. So if you want to check out the details on that, check out the links in the description. See you guys next time. Cheers.